I think some examples that have gone well is, in terms of understanding local tastes, is always the struggle when you have a product, say like chocolate, that is very, very sweet to the local taste. Do you actually stay fixed with what you are standardized across the world, such as in Dove, or do you begin to, say, reduce the sweetness of your chocolate, like with Meiji? So what's interesting is there's always a choice for multinationals to basically say, do we change our products in China to fit the local taste, or do we stay constant? And there are probably advantages to doing both. But what we've seen is that it's probably more advantageous to figure out the local taste. Lay's does this quite well, I think. They have sizzled barbecue flavored chips here on this side, and then they have natural and cool green cucumber flavor. And again, the insights work going into this in terms of understanding the Chinese mentality of heating and cooling regarding food will be very, very different from, say, insights work done elsewhere. So using innovation around insights that are localized is clearly very, very important. I think just the last sort of couple of things that I'd sort of argue for is that I had a bit of a prejudice coming to China, to be honest. I've been here a couple of years now, but one of the things was that I was prejudiced that there didn't seem to be so much innovation, because in the West everybody said it's a matter of copying. And again, there are a lot of definitions of how you define innovation. Is it where the design happens? Is it where the IP happens, etc.? And also one of the things that we feel at Whatif is that innovation is different from entrepreneurial activity. Innovation is not something that happens in a burst. It's not a once-off episode. Innovation is a sort of pattern, a way of being, a behavior that happens consistently. Whereas perhaps an entrepreneur is sort of like has a great idea, feels very passionate, and drives that one idea, often sort of by himself in some ways. But an innovation has to be organizationally led. And I sort of felt, well, we weren't really seeing that in Chinese companies as much as perhaps in multinational companies. But one of the really interesting things that we've seen is a different definition, a different organization for innovation in China, where there are now sort of networks of individual entrepreneurs acting in a very innovative way. So although they may not be recognizable as an actual fixed company, the way that we're used to thinking of companies, the way that they actually collaborate together, even though they're individual service providers, sharing knowledge and so on, is really amazing. One just example on this is, for instance, in Chongqing, the motorcycle industry was basically non-existent about 20 years ago. And if you look basically at how they'll have sort of one provider of design IP, one provider of machinery and so on, and how they're actually working together, it's a very interesting model in terms of they're not a company, but they're several entrepreneurs networking together. And I think that this is a very new way of thinking about innovation, rather than just as companies behaving in an innovative way as a company. And myself and some of my colleagues are around, just if anyone's interested to have a chit chat at any point at all. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Dara. Like Dara said, Dara will be here this evening for you to speak with, as well as some of his colleagues from Whatif. Do try to find them and find them one-on-one to speak to and get a little bit more information out of them. It is free service this evening because they do come at a price if it's not here this evening. And for all of us at NextStep, we just wrapped up some stuff with NextStepDirectory.com. Go check it out. Some cool new features that you can use and find other businesses here in Shanghai. Other than that, thank you very much and have a great evening. Cheers.